Okay, this is a regular scheduled meeting of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted. Roll call. Maria Santiago Bolton.
Here.
Okay, Robin Sudan.
Here.
Stan.
Yarach here.
Walter Andrews here. Paul Walensky.
Here.
Ted Chase. Jessica Johnson. Jessica is not here. She sent me an email saying that she's going to be traveling to Virginia. She's not sure she'll get back in time. So, did I miss anyone?
I'm here, Walter.
Oh, I didn't call you. Arnold. Sorry. What the heck's going on?
Looks like the same list as last time.
I'll have to correct that. I apologize. Okay, so that's everybody.
Me and Tara Kenyon.
He did call your name, Ted, a couple times.
Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm here too. Tara Kenyon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. If we move along, the chair report, I just want to report that I got a call from the clerk's office saying that we had not picked up our environmental mail. And I know that since maybe March or April 2020, because of the pandemic, I hadn't gone to the mailbox. And apparently they were still putting mail that they received for us in the mailbox. So around June, I went and picked it up, and it was maybe about 25 pieces, but mostly routine. I haven't had a chance to go through all of it in detail, but it's routine mail. We get noticing about wetlands from New Jersey DEP. There's some from various consulting firms, etc. But I'll give you a more detailed report, and I'll be going at least to the mailbox, monthly, whether we go back to person in person or stay this way, and keep up with the mail. Okay. What else was there? I think that's the main thing I wanted to report in terms of the chair report.
Walter, if I can ask a question?
Sure.
Of everybody. I'm just curious, and I want to make sure everybody filled out their required financial disclosure statements and sent them in.
I have not.
How would I know I am required to send one in?
The clerk should have told you.
No,
I'm not sure that the Environmental Commission is required to.
You're right, Ted. You're right, Ted. I think it might just be shade tree and open space.
I think open space is. I don't think shade tree would be.
Yeah, I think I had to put that on there. Maybe sewage authority. So you might be right. Environmental used to be required to, but no longer.
Let me look.
I never got a request in all these years.
Neither have I.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then I will renege my comment.
Well,
because
well,
if you're on one of those committees, they'll fine you $100, $125 if you don't fill them out. And I think they were due by the end of June.
The citizen leadership form indicates what committees are required to file financial disclosure statements. As the Board of Adjustment, the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee, Housing Authority, Library Board of Trustees, Open Space Advisory Committee, Planning Board, Redevelopment Authority, Sewerage Authority, Shade Tree Commission. I wonder why the Shade Tree Commission is. Well,
because we've got over $200,000 in our shade tree fund, probably.
That's probably it, yeah.
And we have a zero budget.
Oh. Okay. The other item. Well, okay, let's do the minutes. You've all had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting. was it June 19th? June, whatever.
21st.
I'll
Okay,
make a motion to approve them.
Second,
okay, it's been moved and second that we approve the minutes. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstains? Okay, meeting's adopted. Thank you. If we go down the agenda, one thing I think we want to go ahead and get out of the way is this a letter that I have from Anne Marie, basically saying we have to approve.
In
got a little-
person,
Yeah, it says
The news, the schedule of meetings, going back to meeting in person. And the only thing that really indicates that is it's the schedule of meetings for the rest of the year, the meeting at 475 Demont Lane.
okay, and we have to approve a resolution, approve a motion that we will do that beginning on a certain date. Is that right, Ted?
Yeah, well, really as of the next meeting.
I was thinking whether we can have the WebEx meeting opened in that room, just in case that some audience wants to remotely attend. And technically, any members who just happen to not be physically available, but they would prefer to attend remotely. Is it something that we could do something like that?
Can I
I don't
chime? Oh, I'm sorry, Ted. You go ahead. I was just gonna chime in.
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't know whether that's possible.
So for the Trails Advisory Committee, the Ag Advisory and Open Space, we have to do the same things. So I figured, I saw on the agenda, I drafted a resolution that is the identical resolution that Open Space, Ag, Trails Advisory are using for you guys. And I have the upcoming meeting dates so that we can just send it to Anne Marie. So that's the first thing. The second thing is at the Trails Advisory Committee meeting, which was the day after the council meeting was approved, one of our members actually asked that to the mayor, and his response was that we don't have the capabilities. You all meet in the large conference room also, right?
Yes, we do.
So in a large conference room, we don't have the capability right now to do the WebEx, so to kind of hold the hybrid meeting that you're talking about. We don't have that capability at this point. However, it's something that the township is willing to look into and try to figure out exactly what do we need, to make that happen so that it's seamless and that everyone can hear and everyone can be easily heard. So that question's been brought up and will be looked into. But my understanding is that we passed the resolution with the dates, which I can show you all if you're interested. And once Anne Marie is able to properly advertise them, then our next meeting after that would be held in person.
Tara, what is the possibility? I don't know what the scheduling is. It used to be that one meeting we would have it in the large conference room, and the next meeting we would have it in council chambers. If we had it in council chambers, if it's available to us, it would make it much easier for the public to come to be able to spread out.
Right. Yes, absolutely. You're right about that. Trails brought that up as well, concerned about the space. So I can definitely look and see if the chambers are available for our meeting dates, and then we could do it that way.
Usually the constraint is whether the Hamilton Street Advisory Board is meeting. Because their meetings are the first Monday of the month, but they don't always actually have to have the meeting.
Right. I could look and see what's on the calendar. I have to do that through Anne Marie. So what I would say is if that's something that you all are interested in doing, we can still pass the motion that we're going to start meeting in person at whatever date it is. And then if you give me the okay, I can just change on the advertisement the location of the room and still submit it.
So do we just have to pass a motion that the schedule that we have already approved for this year will now start becoming in-person meetings.
Right, and we have to attach a copy of the meeting schedule, which will just say, that it's at the building with the address and, the time and the exact meeting room. Yep. The resolution that I drafted for trails and for open space that they're using, it's short. It basically says, we stopped meeting in person because of the COVID pandemic. Restrictions limiting the amount of people gathering indoors were lifted and made effective by Governor Murphy on June 4th. And then it goes on to say the Franklin Township Council adopted a resolution on July 13th that called for the return to in-person meetings as soon as boards, commissions, and committees can adopt an updated meeting schedule, and that meeting schedule can be adequately advertised to the public. And then it says the Franklin Township Environmental Commission met virtually as scheduled on July 19th at 7 p.m. and approved meeting dates, times, and locations for the remainder of calendar year 2021. And then it just goes on to basically say, please see the attached meeting schedule.
Tara, do you know if the zoning board will be starting to meet in August as well?
I'm not sure if they're going to start meeting in August or September. I'm not really sure what their schedule is or how they're handling that. I do know though that Trails, Open Space Advisory, Ag Advisory, and I think Historic are scheduled to start meeting in August.
I only bring that up because the zoning board, I believe, their next meeting where the environmental consultant for the Snyder Farm is supposed to be talking, I believe, is August 5th.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure, actually. I can try and find out. I haven't heard about that.
Okay,
They've had a
Well,
meeting.
August, you're right, Arnold. It's on the posting, August 5th for Data Big One Vignon.
Thanks,
Tara,
Paul.
Tara could send us an email on what she learns, and worst case, it's 3 days after our first August meeting, so we could get
Right.
it then. I move we adopt the resolution that Tara read.
I'll second that.
okay, you've been moved and second that we adopt the resolution that's presented by Tara. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
I
Any opposed? All right, and so the motion is carried. Now, Tara, thank you. So let me make sure I understand that in addition to Trails and the other one, you've also been proactive and have drafted one for us. And you will, I guess, put it forward in the same way. Now, do you have the rest of our meeting schedule? I can give that to you. Can you access it? I know Anne Marie has it.
I have it. If you have it handy and you want to just email it to me just to be 100% sure that I have exactly the correct dates down, that would be great. And then what I will do is I'll check about the council chambers. If it's available, I'll make all the meetings there. And then I'll send it to Anne Marie so she can advertise it with plenty of notice for the next meeting.
Yeah,
and
well,
worst case scenario might be the every other meeting would.
Right.
yeah, in the original that we sent to Anne Marie way back in December, it did say our preference was the council chambers, except when the Hamilton Street Commission was meeting. So going forward, we have been meeting probably once a month, but there was the most recent Hamilton Street schedule, they just were not, I guess, not meeting as frequently. So we were in the chambers most of the time. But that
Okay.
is our preference. That is our preference.
Okay, so then I'll send that so that it's, because it has to be advertised properly before we can meet for the next one. So I'll just send that in tomorrow once I find out,
Okay.
and then we'll be good to go.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. All right. If we, I guess it's time now for public discussion. Can we open the meeting to the public?
I'll make a motion to open the public to
yeah.
the motion.
Yeah, I second.
Okay, moving a second that we open the meeting to the public. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, open to the public.
Okay, I'm going to open David D. Desrochers. Okay, you are now on mute.
Very good. David is one that we mentioned last meeting. who is interested in becoming a member of the board. He was a member of the Cranford Environmental Commission for 8 years. And
How
we
many
did-
how many openings do we have on the
We have public
the
session.
environmental commission right now?
We have one.
And that one, is that one for a person who is a member of the planning board?
No,
No,
well,
uh-uh.
So
yeah, I
then-
guess.
So if we have one or two, one that's a person from the planning board, or not, or two where there's one from the planning board and one from the public.
I think there's two.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
too.
it's-
Yeah,
There are two, and I thought we were hoping to save one
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
another
Okay.
member.
So there's
but we
one,
have a public session, right? So
Or
Does
did this
David want to say
person,
anything?
did this person send in their resume and their paperwork to the township?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm sorry for
I have
saying
the
this
forms-
person, I
have the
didn't
form
catch you.
here, and I'm sitting on the form. I wasn't sure what to do with it, so it's right now it's on my desk.
I apologize for saying this person, I didn't catch your name.
That's okay, not a problem. I'm glad I'm
David
on-
Des Rochers.
Des Rocher, it's French.
Des Rochers.
All
Oh,
right.
sorry, Des Rochers.
well, we're glad that
That'll
you're
that'll get
interested.
us a little bit more, what's the term? We will have a more wide variety of people in it when we have a French person in it.
Diversity. Oh,
Diversity, yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. We will have more diversity.
Okay, well, sort of going back to where we were regarding the resolution.
We still
wait,
have
wait.
one person in.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go
Don't
ahead.
we need to ask them if they have anything they'd like to know or
David.
ask of us?
Or tell us what about themselves.
I'd be happy to do that. So I lived in Cranford for 41 years, and I joined the Environmental Commission. I was a member of the commission for 8 years before I moved here to Somerset. And my contribution to the organization, my background is sales and marketing. I don't have a scientific background, but what I did is I helped to promote ideas of sustainable living throughout the community. I came up with some programs like backyard composting. I did a program we called Rate for the Planet, which was an annual program every fall, which promoted the idea of putting the leaf blowers in the garage and raking instead. So it's kind of my role is really to try to make the public aware, number one, that there is an environmental commission, and then some of the ideas that try to get the public to try to change their ways and try to live more sustainably. So and it was a challenge because like I think you pointed out early in your meeting, most people don't know there's even an environmental commission, and we kind of face the same thing. So that was kind of my role. I developed the Township Environmental Commission website. They called it My Green Cranford, and I got an award for that from Naacp. And again, it was another way to try to publicize ideas on sustainable living. We posted the meeting minutes there. We posted our schedule there, and events that were tied into the environment. We posted on the website, and then I also developed the Facebook page for Cranford as well, for the Cranford Environmental Commission. That's kind of how I contributed to the Environmental Commission in Cranford. And so those are kind of the skills that I would bring to your group if you were interested in having me.
Fantastic.
Sounds like some of the things that we're working on now, that he was ahead of the game of some of the things that we're currently working on now. You worked in Cranford, you lived in Cranford for 41 years. Did you work with the health department there on anything?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Um,
so I will, if you are done, I will mute you back. And
David, just a comment, when we go in person, please come join us, hopefully in council chambers on August 2nd. Be nice to see your face and have you speak a little bit more with us.
Okay, that's fine. I'd be happy to do that.
all right.
Now-
Just before, go ahead.
I just wanted to give open window to the next person.
Okay.
The next person is Lawrence Powell.
Oh,
You're now on mute.
Good afternoon to the committee. My name is Lawrence Powell of 23 Renfro Road, Somerset, New Jersey. And I just got appointed. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And I just got appointed as the Environmental Justice Committee for the NAACP in the Brunswick chapter. So I want to sit in on the meeting and see exactly what's going on in Franklin Township, if you don't mind.
We welcome your input. Thank
welcome.
you.
Sure.
All right, thank
Okay.
you. So I'm trying to get familiar with exactly what goes on in the township and what can I do to fit in.
So are you thinking about possibly joining the Environmental Commission as well?
I'm gonna take it one step at a time. I just got appointed as the chairperson for the Environmental Justice Committee for the NAACP
That's great.
chapter.
And what is your name again?
Lawrence Powell.
Okay.
It actually shows up on screen.
Oh, I know.
Does it work?
Oh, the name right there.
Lawrence, please know you can always send information to us to help inform us, because we've been talking about environmental justice and acknowledging that we just have not touched it as a commission. So basically because of a lack of understanding where and how we could make a difference. So
Okay.
please feel free as you get settled into your role, when you see opportunities that might be good for your hometown.
Oh, that's good.
Educate us. We would love to learn more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And for the commission, just for your information, ANJAC is hosting a webinar on environmental justice, I believe, next Wednesday. And you have a chance to register and participate. I think it's pretty much the same one with the same individuals that they ran a year ago when they had their annual meeting. And I know they are very informed individuals. So that's another opportunity if you wanted to sort of catch up.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so I will mute you again. And we have actually a third person in public, yes, and that's Tina Wisehouse, which she has been invited to talk about the NJ Divest resolution. How do we want to structure it? Let her talk now, or make her panelist, or what do we suggest? I'll first unmute her.
Maybe wait till it comes up on the agenda and then we invite her in. Can we
Hi,
wait?
Tina, I just unmuted you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think you can see me though. I was
That's the
struggling.
WebEx stuff, yeah.
Yeah, struggling with the WebEx. Okay, it's up to you. I came on because if in case there were questions, I don't know if people have read the resolution yet, but I can do an overview and answer questions. So however you want to handle it.
Walter, what do you suggest?
How long might that take?
5 minutes.
Yeah. Why don't we have her present right now?
Okay, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So let me share the screen with just taking guess with the little icons. Yes. Tina, do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to, so this we call it Franklin Township Environmental Commission, Somerset County resolution calling for fossil fuel divestment from the state pension plans. And there were some questions. And Tina, do you want to give kind of a high level introduction of the activity, what's going on?
Sure.
And then we'll go
Stan,
into
can you show the top of that, please?
to head what?
Can you show the top of that document for us to see?
Okay, I'll try to be brief. People in Divest New Jersey, which is a coalition of organizations, have been working to call for the selling off of fossil fuel holdings in the state pension plan. And it's probably at this point about $5 billion of investment out of a $90 billion pension. For the last 10 years, the fossil fuel sector, one of 11 sectors in the Standard & Poor's 500, has been the worst performing. It's performed horribly. This year, it bounced back up after the pandemic, but I think everybody acknowledges that fossil fuels are a dying industry. So not only did they perform very poorly for the pension, they are, fueling the destruction of communities here in New Jersey, as well as around the country and the world. And we have had a preview of some of the things that will only get worse in the last few weeks, between the floods in Germany and the the fires and the heat and the drought. And this is just the beginning. So Jersey City actually started this divestment resolution. They have their own pension plan, as well as members that go into the state pension. Every community other than Jersey City has all of their municipal workers in the state pension plan, and your tax dollars, both at the local level in your township and your state, so your property taxes locally and your income taxes at the state level, make up what becomes the state or municipal obligation that they pay as employers for your municipal workers that are in the pension plan, or all of the workers at the state level. So Jersey City passed unanimously this resolution, adapted to the city, and Stan and Arnie contacted me and told me they had adapted it for Franklin Township and did a very good job. And we're passing resolutions around the state. Plainsboro passed one, Piscataway passed one. They're popping up everywhere. Highland Park is doing it, Secaucus is doing it. And the point is to put pressure on the State Investment Council and the Division of Investment to move the process of divesting fossil fuels more quickly, and to make it a part of a climate action plan, which decarbonizes the whole portfolio, but gets rid of fossil fuels as the main driver of climate change as quickly as possible, in a fiduciarily responsible way. So, and that's a summary of what we're doing. So I just came to usually it goes through the Environmental Commission first, and then it will go on, if you pass that and you want to your council, because it has a little more weight coming from the council, who actually pay that portion into the state for their municipal workers. So I'm here to answer any specific questions if I can.
All right.
Was that an adequate description?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Robin Saddam, and having read the article over the weekend about Maine's pension fund,
Yeah.
it does make me, my thinking had never gone there before, but it does raise a very good point about leverage in the fossil fuel industry is sitting on so much cash. Choose to deploy it into renewables, it could make things happen more quickly. And I think we just have to be prepared that the state advisors to this fund might choose to go that way with some of it, impartiality. And the second point is these companies are the highest dividend payers. So there's an obligation there to keep bringing in the most amount of cash so they can be paying out in pensions. So my heart is with the resolution and I will vote for it, but I think we need to be strategic enough to know that there may be another route that gets us there or partially gets us there by maybe keeping someone invested, but trying to flex a muscle and being
Right.
prepared for New York State's doing it over 5 years. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, yeah, it's now by 2024, I think they're gonna have completed their survey and decision making. Yeah.
So just some comments, no real questions. I just wanted to make those comments.
Yeah, and they're really appreciated. There are, Rhode Island is divesting, Maine did it legislatively. It will, over a few years. And there are hybrid models of divesting. The New Jersey has insisted that we should only do shareholder engagement. And that is something that New York, Comptroller DiNapoli, did for years, insisting that it was better to stay in, which is what you're talking about in part, than to get out. But he changed his mind finally because he felt like he was hitting his head against the wall and not getting anywhere. You have more leverage when you're telling them you got to meet these, requirements or we will divest. And, I think as everybody saw, perhaps the Exxon tape that was done by Greenpeace, and the expose of talking to the lobbyists. This is not a sector that is honest. This is not they are bad actors. They have been bad actors for 40, 50 years when they knew the science and withheld it. And they not only withheld it, but then they sowed doubt, and they have created a situation where we are in this emergency, because if we had started taking action several decades ago, we wouldn't be here now. My son is calling me, so that's what I have to keep turning off. So yes, but some, divestment is complex, and you can do it in different ways, and you can get out of gas. You can get out of coal, but hang on to other things. And yeah, but I think without pressure from the different municipalities or other interest groups, they won't. And so we're trying, it's non-binding resolution, which we're trying to use to pressure to say, look, people around the state and local governments around the state who participate in the state pension plan want to see action, and that would be divestment. And they need to begin to realize that that has to be on the table. What it finally looks like, I agree with you, Robin, we won't know until we get there, but they have to put it on the table. That's my response to you. Yeah.
This is Paul Walitsky. I wrote a memo just to the commission this afternoon, which basically echoed what Robin just said. And I've been following what the oil and gas companies have been doing, and Shell and ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil now has an activist on their board, which was a big surprise to Exxon.
Right. They have 3. Robin is holding up 3. They
three,
won
okay.
Engine, I think it's Engine 1. Yeah, the activist group got 3 out of 4. But you have to remember there are 12 board members.
Right.
So what we're saying is there isn't a lot of time. We are past time when we should have taken action. So pressing them to do the more extreme action of divestment then puts pressure on them wherever they're going to fall, but to take action. And although they are doing more shareholder engagement since we started advocating for divestment, it isn't fast enough. And in my opinion, they're just working with bad actors. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be an either or. You do this hybrid, you can stay in, you can get out of the worst or the riskiest investments, you can make, and yeah, they do provide a lot of dividends, but the dividends are being cut back. I mean, they rebounded out of the financial crisis of last year, but already there were a number, I think Shell and BP cut their dividends. And they may not cut them this year, but they've laid off so many workers that they don't have enough workers anymore in Texas. They're hiring temporary workers, but they have already cut their dividends. So if they're in a crunch, that's where they'll go. And they have to sell assets and borrow money. Exxon's been doing this for a few years just to pay the dividends so they can reassure people that they're still in business.
This
So
is very risky procedure.
yes, it is a risky procedure. So I appreciate your saying, Robin, that you'll support it, but it is a complicated financial decision-making process, and we acknowledge that. We're not trying to say, oh no, you should get out tomorrow or not do any shareholder engagement, or you should do all of it, but divestment has to be on the table.
Comfortable.
Tina, this is Arnie Schmidt. Thank you very much for getting involved in helping us with this. In response to several questions that I had asked, you added several links to this, which I think is going to be very helpful for when people read this. Gives insight to just questions that come up. Robin and Paul just talked about something that I wanted to talk about. I saw Paul's email that he sent out late today talking about the oil companies. And so in one of our whereas paragraphs, it says New York plans over the next 5 years, and in ours it says 3 years. Do you have a preference as to what we say? Do you think one is better? Which would be better to put in there?
You could put 4 years. It's,
It's the
splitting
compromise.
the difference, I think. Yeah, I mean, we have, in advocating, and on Wednesday, I'll be speaking again at the State Investment Council in public comment. And they want us to speak there. Some people definitely want us there. We've been there 3 years at every public comment, at every meeting. We've never said just sell off everything now. And they also have a bunch of stuff in private equity, which is much more complicated getting out of that. But it takes, what we've always said to them is commit now to a plan to divest so that you're not caught with stranded assets or decreased value overnight. The longer you wait in this crisis that we are watching on TV, fortunately, I mean, in our own state, we have harmful algae blooms already closing lakes and terrible rainfall. But we understand that it's a process. So I would say 4 years is fine.
So I have one other point and one other question that I can think of right now. So our resolution it's not going from us to them. Our resolution is a recommendation to the Township Council, for the Township Council to act on this and send this to the appropriate people. We have people listed in here, Governor Murphy and other people, and it's possible that the Township Council might have other people that they think it's appropriate to send to. So that this is a recommendation to the council, which is the way I think it should be done. And then the one other question that I had was on the first page, I had a question. This is the fourth paragraph from the bottom.
Can you explain the impact of battery storage?
Yeah, and that's just something that I was not familiar with, and I'm just curious as to, can you explain that, how that impacts global climate change?
Well, in order to I was so impressed with everybody's resume on your environmental committee that probably somebody else could do it, but it's that in order to have reliable alternative sources of energy like solar and wind, you need battery storage. You need to be able to provide when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing. And there, for a while, the battery storage was too expensive, and now the prices of everything have come down to make it really cost competitive, so that people are jumping over natural gas in many instances and just going to a renewable source with battery backup. But they are working on more long-term battery storage, which maybe somebody here would know how to explain more. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe just Tesla has now a product that it's like a house, and it's composed of several batteries, modules, and the capacity of it is at the level of pump hydro power plant. And the advantage is that the footprint of it is much smaller. When you have pump hydro, you actually need the land to have certain shapes, and you sacrifice portion of it because you flood it. You have to have upper lake and lower lake, right? So this is an environmental concern. What the battery has, it has much smaller footprint, and it can be in residential area, and it has the same capacity, and it's cheaper. Today, it's already cheaper.
Well,
My
maybe I'm
just installed the Tesla batteries at their house in Connecticut.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the
still just not-
residential. I'm talking about the grid scale.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm still
Utilities,
just not clear on,
how that
I'm
affects.
trying to look for a way to make this a little bit shorter. The longer
Yeah.
you make these
Yeah,
resolutions,
the less they.
the more people lose concentration on them.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if that paragraph is something that really helps our cause at all. So I'm just bringing that up because
If I can, I think it's appropriate that it be mentioned in the same phrase where we mention clean renewables, because it's investment in renewables that brings the price down. It's investment in battery storage that brings the price down. So we're listing it there as a place to put the money to be investing for ideas in the future. And it is appropriate because that is the answer to getting us completely on wind and solar, is the battery capacity. And we
Right.
don't have to go into a great deal, just mention it, because the people that are in the investment world know that that's a
Very
place to
well.
go.
They do.
maybe I'm thinking about this completely differently. When I see battery storage, are you talking about how much energy a battery can store?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was reading it as, okay,
Oh.
we have these old batteries and we have to store them somewhere.
No,
No,
That's
no.
what I was
So
looking
take
at it
out
as.
storage,
So
battery backup.
Okay.
or-
okay,
Yeah.
so
Maybe-
now I
maybe-
understand. I was looking at it from a
Okay.
different perspective.
Okay.
Now I understand. Let's switch from battery storage to energy storage.
that's
That-
good.
That's the technical term.
Okay. Great.
If I can mention also a good example for Arnold, I've got solar cells on the roof, but if there's a power failure in Somerset, I have to turn off my system so I don't zap anybody that's trying to work the poles to fix the wires. If I have a battery storage, if the power goes off from the grid, then the battery is going to power the house until it runs out. Or
Actually, the system shuts off by itself. You
It
don't
does.
have to.
Yeah. But that's battery backup.
Right, right. Oh, that's so interesting, Arnie, that you read it that way. So yeah, like take, energy. What did you say, Stan?
Energy storage.
It was energy. I already changed it. It
You
used to be
did.
battery storage.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So I'm sorry, I don't know what you changed, but I'm looking at it as energy sources and battery energy storage.
Not
No,
battery,
no.
just energy
No,
storage.
take
Just
out the
energy storage.
battery.
Okay, take out battery. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Energy,
okay,
energy
good.
storage. Yeah, yeah. But I tend, Arnie, I'll tell you, I live in Highland Park. I'm actually the chairperson. We have an environmental committee and we have a sustainable Highland Park board. I'm the chairperson of the Sustainable Highland Park. We do different things in town. And I know that our council, and this resolution is on the way to our council, will not read a resolution that's more than 2 pages. They just won't do it. And so, you know, feel free to shorten it. It just has to make sense. You know, this resolution is basically making an argument for why you would divest. So, you know, that to me is what you're looking for. If you can do it in a page, do it in a page. But, you know, I always feel like these whereases are really educational to a lot of people. So they help make the argument.
We
Well,
are far from,
I would go to Ted and I would ask him because, you know, 2 pages seems like a lot, although everything in here is very educational and
Yeah.
interesting. But Ted, from your experience, as a 2-page resolution, how does that come across to the council when it's sent to them?
Oh, I can't speak for the other members of the council. I think 2 pages is fine. 4 pages would be too much.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Oh, we can expand to 3 pages. Huh?
no, actually, we are well within 2 pages. Don't
Yeah,
Yes.
it's good length.
Okay.
So I
Thank you.
really appreciate the discussion. I learn something when I go to other people's commissions or committees, because I learn what you're thinking and what makes sense in this resolution. So thank you. Do you have any other questions for me?
Well, no, thank you. But I think there was one thing here. So because Napoli was 5 years, and Arnie quoted that we are suggesting 3 years.
Yeah.
So she
Well,
said
he was
4 years.
5
Cut
years.
4
the
years.
diff.
He was
Isn't
he
yes?
did it in 20 and it was to 24. He said it'll be completed 24. It may be that it's wrong there, that it should be 4 years, but it started last year. So, you know, for us,
Maybe in order to match it, right? So that's why
yes,
we want to
just
have.
match it.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
match it. I would put 4 years because it was 20 to 24. I
Mhm.
would, and then use 4 years. That's what I would do.
I guess I do have one more question in that paragraph where you have the link to on second page is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th page, fifth whereas down. It says, who is the fiduciary for the best funded state pension in the country, worth $226 billion, announced in December that his plan over the next 5 years will be divesting from the riskiest
Yeah.
fossil fuel investments. And that took my notice there when he says the riskiest fossil fuel
Yeah.
investments, which, in other words, he's not divesting of all fossil fuels.
Well,
Right.
here is 2040, right? So maybe the riskiest in 4 years. Is that
Yeah.
so?
Well, the decarbonization is the whole portfolio. And we know that you don't have to be a fossil fuel company to be at great climate risk or, you know, emit tremendous emissions. But the way New York did it, and this is what I mean, that every state, if they are going to proceed with this, will kind of come up with their own formula. And the way that DiNapoli did his is that he set out, you know, he's the only fiduciary in New York State for this gigantic pension. It's all in the comptroller's hands. And he did this climate action plan, and he is now looking sector by sector. So I think he started with coal, and he divested not every coal company, but most of them, like 24 out of 27. Then he went to tar sands. He did it by the dirtiest sector. He broke coal, oil, and gas down by the dirtiest sectors. And I can't name those sectors beyond tar sands, but that's the way he's looking at it. Other people may use his approach as a roadmap. And then New York City did something where it just divested $4 billion in January. Just they spent 3 years thinking about it, and BlackRock did a report for them, which was revealed, and they said it was prudent to divest, and that they named different ways that people do it, and they laid out certain tests in terms of carbon emissions and future carbon emissions. It's an interesting, you can get that that draft report. It's interesting, but anyway, so there are, yeah, he went ahead. The riskiest ones are like tar sands, the ones that are the most carbon intensive. And but he's going sector by sector. That's where he's doing. So he used that language, and we use it because he used it to describe his approach to divestment. But it is divestment. He is slowly getting rid of a lot of companies. And all of these divestments will allow for the company to come back into the list of acceptable investments if they change their business model, if they decarbonize their, whether it's a manufacturing process or they locate differently or whatever, they can get reinvested in. So it's, but at the point at which it's being assessed, they decide not to withdraw that investment.
I guess my point just was, and this document was based off the Jersey City resolution where this came from. And so that wording came, I assume that wording came from divesting from the riskiest. And we are using different wording. We're using riskiest up there, but down below in the second to last paragraph, we are saying that the council get rid of all fossil fuels. So,
if you want
to, I'm just being picky on words here as to, is that what we want to say?
Well, you could even, I mean, you could just say he is, you could change that, and so you don't get caught up in, I understand where you want to align it. The demand is slightly different. You could remove that riskiest phrase and just say he has started a divestment process, which will take 4 years, and going through every sector of fossil fuels. And just so you're not hung up on that when the call is to, or you could call for New Jersey state pension to get rid of the riskiest, fossil fuel investments. You could align it either way. I'm fine with either.
Well, keeping the word riskiest in there is an honest way to go. And in the second to last paragraph, where we're saying for Franklin that it includes the divestment of all fossil fuels, maybe it just should be the divestment of fossil fuel investment and take out the word all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little shady maybe, but it's not, at least it's not saying all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
We could parse some of this language a little bit without keeping Tina on the call.
Right.
I understand, but we're talking about this document now, and I love her input, and we've got her. So
I think taking all out would solve your problem. It would be leaving DiNapoli's words, if you want to use the actual statement. I mean, he has a very interesting statement also about, ensuring the long-term sustainability of the divestment is in order to ensure the long-term sustainability.
How about to start as soon as possible, but no longer than 3 years, right? So if you say to start, it kind of matches the New York State.
Well, I would say no longer than 4 years. That would probably be so you're aligning it.
Yes, we say to start as soon as possible, but no longer than 3 years from the date of this resolution.
And you know what? This is just a recommendation to the council, so they can change the wording if they want to put in 5 years or 4 years or 2 years. They can change it to anything they want when they send this on to whoever they send it on to.
Well,
Yeah,
they're gonna send, right, if they pass it, they'll send it on to the people listed at the bottom. Yeah,
Right, and they'll make their changes. They'll put their
Yeah.
thumbprint on it and doesn't have to say the exact same thing that we're saying.
right.
if you
So,
read beyond where he has, he then says he's not going to get rid of everything till 2040. He's
Yes.
he's
Yes.
committed to decarbonize, like that's 15 years, that's 20 years from now.
No,
Yeah.
then it has to read, what he said is he will complete the analysis of the fossil fuel sector in 4 years. He is looking to decarbonize the entire portfolio, from healthcare to materials to, consumer goods to, that's the entire portfolio. He wants to decarbonize it, meaning that he wants to get, he wants to bring it into a low carbon economy. But fossil fuel analysis will be done in 4 years.
comfortable with this from a substance point of
Yeah,
view.
yeah, I am.
I do have some comments I sent to Stan on some grammatical corrections, but maybe we can, if we've answered, or we've gotten all our questions answered, we could let Tina go. You've given us a lot of information in a lot more than 5 minutes, Tina. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We
Thank you. I will,
really appreciate, yeah.
yeah,
However, you're welcome to stay on and listen
Yeah.
to the rest of the meeting if you'd like to.
But you mentioned that your son is chasing you, so.
yeah, my son. All right, it's a pleasure.
All right.
And I appreciate the time that you spent on it, and you really read it, and you're trying to make it as good as possible. So good luck to you on that. And let me, Stan will tell me what happens and where it goes from here. Okay?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Have a nice night, everybody.
Have a
Very
good
good, thank you.
night. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Tina.
Procedural question, when we send along a resolution, is it ever really considered by the council? Do they vote on it, or could they just ignore the whole thing? How does that work?
Well, it is up to them to handle it in the way we've been semi-successful. There have been some that they have acted on, others we haven't heard anything. And once we heard something from the mayor showing an interest, but I don't know whether he got that through the council or not.
Anyway, I move to close the public session.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
The moving a second that we close the public section, all in favor?
Well, was there anybody else, like the
No.
Franklin Reporter or anybody?
He's not, for the first time in a long time, he's not.
Okay.
Here.
He missed a good discussion.
Okay, all in favor, let me know by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we go back to the regular session.
So in response to Robin's question, I think some resolutions they take action on. We've also sent them just a regular email saying we would like you to do this, whether it has to do with the community funds for plastic bags or the idling. Those were just emails that we sent to them that we did recommendations. They were much smaller, shorter, briefer. A resolution has a lot more information in it. So my suggestion for this is that we put the finishing touches on it and have a final review and vote on it at our next meeting.
Okay, why not?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I
Sounds
was making comments, typing the change. Oh, yes, and Robin, you wanted to go through some grammatical.
I think Stan, on the grammatical, you could look at them and just
You wanted
update
to
this.
put and here.
And there's about 8 of them. So rather than take everybody through these essentially typo type things,
Okay,
maybe we could make those changes, send it out to everybody with the changes in blue so they could see it.
okay.
And then we could
Fair
vote
enough.
at the next meeting. My reason of bringing up how does the council handle this is it would be great if, once they're back in person, we show up.
Mm.
At the council meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
If there's any way to know when it might be when it makes it past the mayor's or whoever is the decider, what hits the agenda and what doesn't, that we be there in person. I think be a great way to start our, the year being back in person, that we show up for this, we stand up for this.
Well, to me, this is really no skin off of the council's nose. They're just sending something like this on to people that have the real power. Franklin has no, I don't think, and Ted can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Franklin Township has any control over the money situation in the pension fund, but they can certainly make a recommendation to the people that do. And if the people that do get enough of these resolutions and comments from all over the state, then hopefully that makes a difference.
Well, it's a leverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So I'd make a motion to table this for the next meeting. Well, then we
Okay.
do the editing and bring it back at the next meeting.
Well, I think everybody can, I agree, and I think everybody can send their comments if they have any to Stan. And then prior to the next meeting, hopefully a couple of days before the next meeting, he can send out a hopefully finished document with the comments that people have made, the suggested revisions that they've made. And at that time, we will be able to discuss it. We don't want to discuss it as a quorum over emails, but Stan will be the point person, and he will be able to send it to everybody to the final product, what we hope is the final product, prior to the next meeting, where we can just say, yep, we've looked at it and we agree with this, and send it to the council.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to put that in the form of a motion, or is this a general agreement?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Do we need to? If you're not,
We'll move on to the next agenda item. Website, email, and social media. Since Jessica is not here, she generally, Jessica, are you on?
No.
No. We'll just move past that. And hopefully, what's there can hold until our next meeting. Plans review, we're trying to, I'll call it, make the process more efficient. So Paul goes in and searches out those that are up for review. But at the same time, we're talking about a checklist. And at some point, we want to see maybe on one or two of how these will work. But first, I'll just let Paul go through his report. And, if we want to share the screen of one or two or something like that, if we have the time, we can do that tonight. But Paul, go ahead.
Okay, well, as you mentioned, I did send the report out, but to get this into the minutes, I do want to mention that last night at the planning board, a plan that we had looked at was approved, and that's the Tobochnik plan to add the second story. And our comments were within that. The current report for 721, which is
Paul, could you stick with Tobochnik for a minute?
They added a second story, and we recommended pervious parking. We in the parking area, pervious payment. We also recommended an electric charger, and we recommended a green roof that they might plant things that they could use on the roof.
This is Tobochnik you're still talking about?
Yeah, you just asked me about the.
Right, yeah, okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they've been in town a long time and are doubling the size of their facility. And I didn't attend last night's meeting, so I don't know how that came out, but it was approved.
So the question, and it's after the fact, unfortunately, since it was approved, is I drove past there today and I saw nowhere for them to build other than it looks like they've got to be taking down a lot of trees.
Well, they're going up. They're adding a second story.
So they're not, I thought they were, they're not.
There were some trees, but they were moving those around. I think because they expanded the parking a little bit.
Mhm.
But basically, the variance was to add a second story on the building.
So they're not taking out a lot of trees, because I
No,
saw a
not
lot
that I
of
know.
trees in the area but I
Yeah.
wasn't even sure if that was on their property or not.
That you might be right, because it was some trees, as I remember, around the parking area, but they were planting them in other places. It wasn't a net removal.
Yeah, you had to go all the way around the back of the building to see where all the trees are.
Yeah, yeah. So in going on, the planning board has resolutions that they're going to vote on if they get to them all on Wednesday. And they're every one of them, the Britt Industrial Campus, the library for the township, Bajay Cal Steering, Sterling is adding 2 4-story buildings, the Hamilton Street and AACTFR. All those we've already reviewed. And the only new one that came up was Insight Properties, and that's not due until the 28th. And what that is they built the building that was approved, but the measurements showed that they're 1/10 of a foot beyond where they're supposed to be in the siding. So they've got to pay fees and do everything else to get approval. Nobody's going to move the building. They have to get a variance for the 1/10 of a foot that they're over the line. So that has no environmental impact at this point, that we could adjourn or talk about.
Isn't 1/10 of a foot statistical error?
I know, it could well
It's
be.
a little bit over 1 inch, right?
Well, they already paid, well, a tenth, yeah, it would be 1.2 inches, I guess. But they paid $250 for the application fee and the lawyer. They went all through the stuff for the 1/10 of a foot. So, and that's all that's coming up on the planning board. Which is this picture? Oh, this is
It's
the
Towpath.
oh, this is Towpath.
Yeah. I guess this is the building they want to.
Do you have an overview or overhead view of that site?
I can do that.
See, yeah,
Yeah, if you go to the left,
over here, there's some area.
no, if you're looking at the screen, to the left of your screen,
Right.
at the bottom of the screen now, it looks like a lot of trees in that area there.
And they're down beyond the asphalt in the back area, yeah. But along the side, there's nothing, there's no room.
But they will build second floor somewhere.
They're building a
here,
second floor.
maybe.
Good, okay.
So now on the zoning board, there are also 5 things listed for August 5th. The St. Charbel Church, Brentwood changing the siding from 8-inch to 7-inch. The bus parking that we commented on, and our comments are listed on the agenda. And the last item is the Data Bhagwan Vignan Hindu temple, which has gotten a lot of controversy. And already the opponents, traffic people, ripped apart the applicant's traffic study because it did not seem to take into account the left turn people going from South Middlebush into the site. And so that's the traffic has become a major concern.
But I think the zoning board president, as well as Mark Healy, ripped into their traffic expert
Yes, yes.
as to where he got his data from and from
Yeah.
other places.
That made the Franklin Reporter, I think, and Tap News as well. So that's all that's listed at this point. Now that was as of noon. I didn't go back in this afternoon.
Oh,
But this,
A
that's about as
question,
current as I can get you. Sure.
a question back at Towpath, I can't pronounce it, the one
To
that,
Bochnik.
Tabachnik. And I don't know if was this the one that they also want to get into the marijuana business?
Not there, no, this is a soup manufacturer.
Okay,
They make their soups there.
okay, I
And
guess
I
I'm thinking,
recommended they plant herbs and spices on the roof.
Ted, I see you talking. I don't know if you're muted or not. I thought you might have been saying.
I muted because my phone rang. Yeah, a tabachnik spoke to the council session about their zoning, that they are not in the industrial zone where production of marijuana products would be allowed. And so they would either have to apply for a variance or ask that they be rezoned, because they're actually, their site is adjacent to the industrial zone. So it would not be implausible to.
Yeah, I know that had come up. They're also adjacent to residential areas over there as well.
Yeah, but they've been there a long time.
Yep. Yeah.
Paul, I have a question about St. Charles.
Yes,
Did we comment on those plans about things like pervious pavement and?
we
bike
did.
paths?
We did. And we recommended an electric charging station as well, as I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah, and all that is showing on the website.
Good.
All right.
That completes my report.
Thanks, Paul. That's great.
Okay.
All
You've
right.
taken over a big load of work from the rest of us by doing all that.
I am waiting.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the in-person stuff that we can all pour over the blueprints together.
I am not. I am I think I elect you to continue to do this because I think you do an excellent job and it appears you really enjoy it.
All right. Okay.
I'll make a
thank you, Paul.
motion.
All right. Now if we move along, we go into new business.
Walter, can I make a suggestion looking at the list of new business?
Sure.
Can
No
we
longer new.
combine, may we combine A and G? Because the reusable bags is part of the Plastics Ban Education Committee work.
Yes.
We can do that, certainly. They happen at sort of different times, but in essence, they are the same, one and the same. All right.
Before we start talking about Clean Communities Grant and our recommendations and all the work that has been done over this since the last week, I'm just wondering if Tara has any insight into where the township is on this situation. With the Clean Communities Act money and, if they've ordered bags or if they're doing anything with the bags.
I'm not sure. I haven't been involved in that. I can definitely, try and find out, but I haven't been involved in that until, now. So I can definitely see what's going on, but I haven't heard.
The reason I bring it up is I know that a communication was sent out to Carl Hauk about this. I haven't heard anything about anybody receiving a response to it. And you might have a better chance at receiving a response from Carl than somebody else on this commission.
I can reach out to him for sure. I actually meet with him monthly, and it's funny, I actually just met with him this morning. So, and I didn't talk to him about this in particular, but I can add that on my list to the monthly. And when we get to talk about, my role in here, that's something we can talk about more, adding things to that monthly call. So that's one thing I can do.
I'm just wondering if after you hear everything that is said today about this, if it might be possible for you to shoot an email to Carl tomorrow.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And say, can you tell us what the status is on the reusable bags?
Yep.
Because we might be going through this whole process. A lot of subcommittees, a lot of hours are being put in by members on this commission, and they've already made all the decisions as to what's going to be done. And so you might be able to find that out.
I can, yeah. That's something that definitely I can and will do for sure. So yeah, as soon as I hear what's going on, I'm kind of like caught up to speed. I can do that, when the meeting's over.
That's great.
I
Thank you,
had
Tara.
an email from Bob Vornlocker, in which he indicated he was looking into where to get reusable bags. He said that Ed Potosnak had advised him to get cotton bags rather than polypropylene because
I
they last.
got that email, yes.
Can we do this inside of Maria's report? I think it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, why don't we go with Marie's report first? And I believe that will cover a lot. And we won't be, I'll call it repeating ourselves. So Marie, why don't you do the Education Subcommittee report? And a lot of items we've begun to talk about, we have reached out and apparently some response has come, but not directly. So Marie, are you ready? I don't know whether you want to share your screen or how you want to do that.
Yes, I'm ready. I don't know if
Okay.
I'm able to
I just
share.
made you presenter,
Oh,
so
you
it
did?
should work.
Okay, so let me put here the report. I click on it. I don't know. Could you see it?
Not yet.
No,
Not sure.
at the bottom,
yet.
you should hit share and
Maybe I don't know how to share. That's the point. Okay, I don't know how to. Oh, I have to click share.
yes.
Let me do this again. My God. What? No.
Share, and you have to hit the icon of the screen.
Yes.
And then
Oh my
at the
God.
bottom, the blue button, share.
Oh my God, where is it? But I don't see my screen. And Microsoft here. And share.
Something.
There we go.
It is very
You get
slow,
it.
and I apologize for this. I don't know. It's going like this, and
Yeah, hold on.
okay. Are you able to see it now?
It's saying it's
yet.
starting.
You're starting to share.
What are you sharing? You have to
Uh,
click, you have to tell it what you're sharing. There it is.
There
Okay.
we go.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm
There
sharing the report.
Good. You got it.
Okay, so basically the report has the assignments that each of us had, what results we obtained from the assignments, and at the end we listed some recommendations for the commission for all of you to consider. From my end, I contact again the Franklin Board of Education and ask about their ability to print. And I haven't heard from them yet. And and there are at the bottom, there are resources, there are links for more information, and we included in our report or in our email information and flyers that Robin obtained from ANJAC. So
Maria, just checking, did everyone on the commission get a copy of the report and the flyers?
Um,
I don't think so.
Paul, you didn't receive it?
I don't, this is the first I'm seeing this, yeah.
Okay. So maybe we need to resend it again.
okay.
okay. All right.
Just do it from my phone now.
And it can be talked about in more depth next time too.
Yes, because he has a lot of information and perhaps the committee wants to focus on the recommendations at this point.
Yeah.
Or next time, like you said. Good afternoon. I sent it yesterday at 3 o'clock, and the email I have for you, Paul, is paul.walitsky@gmail.com.
Okay, that's good. It should be there then. I'll take a look.
3:22 p.m. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yesterday.
I'm gonna resend it to everyone.
No, I have it.
You
Oh.
have it?
Okay, Lee, I'll find it. Okay, I'll look again for it. If not, I'll contact you separate. You don't have to mess up everybody's emails.
Okay. But I have the correct email. Hi, do I have it? Yes, I think so. I just did. So
Okay.
please Commissioner, let me know what you expect. You want me to conclude the report now and we reconvene next time?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Do you prefer that? Okay. So then I'm gonna stop sharing. Let me know what to do.
What do you want to achieve?
No, no, I just need to know what to do because if we're going to review this next time, then I'm gonna stop sharing the document.
Stop sharing. Okay. On top, the orange button, I believe.
Any questions or is that okay? I don't, what you want, what I'm supposed to do?
Well, just a couple of things that I was able to learn along the way that I
Mhm.
confirmed that we can use Clean Communities money for not only the purchase of the
Okay.
reusable bags, we can also use it for any printing costs of the Anjec flyers. So I hope you got a chance to look at those. Some are very simple, some are more complex. One is really good, short, but a little more technical. And so whether we use them for stuffers or for a Franklin Times article, there's 5 nice pieces there. And I also did find out that we can put our name on those pieces. Jessica's working on doing that for us right now. And if she is unsuccessful, Anjec offered to do that, to put the Franklin Township Environmental Commission's name right on any of those flyers. So if we do reach out to Carl Hauk, if he's uncertain or he wavers about paying for this, he can use the Clean Communities money. And Frank and Somerset County gave me the name of several vendors, as well as Anjec gave us, and it's in this report, a website we can go to that will show all the vendors for reusable bags. And we can ask any of the vendors to use the existing Bagged Up New Jersey logo and put our name on it. And
I think, Robin, we've known from the beginning that we can use that money
yes,
for bags. It's a matter of whether the township, Bob Warnlock or whoever's in charge, wants to use that money because they've been using that $130,000 or whatever it's for. They've been designating it for other things over the years.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of whether they have already designated that money for something else or not. It sounds like maybe that Carl is looking into it, so it looks like they're considering doing it. And as far as getting different logos on it, that's stuff that you might want to consider sending information to Carl to help him out, because we don't, he might be putting out bags, but who knows what logos are going to go on it. So that's the kind of stuff to send to him and to Bob Warnlocker, I would think.
Well, I think Walter put that in his email, that the Environmental Commission could offer some options to him, and we'll see how he responds. Maybe the best thing, Walter, is to send a copy of your email to Tara. So
Yeah,
she
and maybe I should have sent it to Von Locker as well, but initially, I didn't want to have a meeting online, but in retrospect.
It's worded very graciously, but it says we would offer our assistance in what these bags look like.
Yeah.
And I think Tara, you're still on, I assume.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
So and that's why I asked Tara to send something. Oh, there you are. To send something to Carl, because it's been over a week or whatever, 2 weeks probably since Walter sent that, and has not heard anything. And yes, I thought Walter was sending it to Bob Warnlocker also. But yeah, I mean, if that's the procedure that you would usually use, to copy Bob Warnlocker on this as well, because I would expect better results from you, from them to you than from us to them. That just seems to be the way it works. That's going to be one of your valuable commodities that we have in you by using you as the middle person. We are going to use and abuse you.
So Tara, what I'll do is I'll share my email to Carl Houck, and I'll
Yes.
let you take it from there.
Yes, that's perfect.
All right.
And I just want to,
As I mentioned earlier, I had an email from Bob Vornlocker saying that he was looking into where to get bags from. He
Yeah.
advised that, I mean, he would want to get them from some vendor that has a state contract, I'm sure. That's the
well,
kind of thing
I
that-
think the link in the report is provided by the DEP. So I'm guessing those people have a state contract.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's moving forward a little slowly, but hopefully we can speed it up.
And interestingly, I reached out to the Somerset Ministerium, which represents many, many of the houses of worship in town. And they were all, I spoke, it was a rabbi, head of a mosque, and the pastor of Middlebush Reformed Church. And they were all very grateful. This is great information. It's perfect for our congregations. And we really look forward to having you come speak when we meet again. So I think we will find there is an appetite for credible information on this topic. I'm hoping to hear back from the Franklin Chamber. I've been introduced and exchanged emails with the president. And I don't think they've talked about it at all. So I think there's room to use the information and whatever physical properties we have as well.
And Robin, I did speak to Alex Karzai and told him you said hello.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing? In Canal Walk, we just finished our food drive, and we gave these bags out to anybody that gave a donation of $30 above the $25 that they might give. And we collected like almost $5,000 for the food bank, but gave out these bags to anybody that did that. And it has our logo on the front and Canal Walk. So that's just the type of thing the town can do. We have a vendor, obviously.
Yeah.
And inside was a flyer about the food bank and using recyclable bags. That just happened last week.
All right. Let me just share real quickly that I reached out to IT to determine, in social media, which ones they currently use. And I learned that they use Facebook, Instagram, two more. No, these are social media. Twitter, and one more. But one thing we learned that the pre-prepared PDF, they can't use on social media. So I don't know what's the alternative, but we can use the pre-prepared ANJAC and state material in the Franklin Times and on the website.
If you save the PDF as a JPEG, then they can use it that way as a photo.
Okay, all right.
And I can go back to ANJAC and ask them if they can give us those JPEG files.
All right, perfect.
If you have a PDF of anything, I have the editor for Adobe, so I can save anything from a PDF into a JPEG or a Word. So if you need, just send it and I'll save it as a JPEG.
Okay, make sure you got Maria's email that she just resent. Just make sure. Maria, was Tara on that email list?
No, I don't have her email.
That's one thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know that I'm on the list yet. So I don't know who does the list, but if you add me on, then I'll make sure I'm up to date on everything.
Can you just tell us what it is?
I have a group listing and I'll definitely add you, but I do have your individual email. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so then I'm going to stop. I'm removing the document stop sharing now.
Okay, thank you.
Tara, could you just repeat your email now?
Sure. Yep. So my one at Franklin is Tara, Tara, Kenyon, KENYON at franklinnj.gov.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move along then. Okay,
Can we move to the article that we need to approve for the Franklin Times?
yeah, let's do that because we can get that out of the way, and that is a timely, it has to go forward.
But I have a real question. Why are we going to put the article out there if we don't know that the Franklin drain locations are available on the website?
Well, it's a separate question. We want actually people to be proactive and
Okay.
and start taking care of their drains. The program that it will formally acknowledge and allow them to, upload the images and make a record of their cleanup. That's a formal thing. You don't need to have that in order to clean the drain. So what we are trying to communicate is, hey, there is a program, but before we get it set up, you can just start doing it.
I guess my question is similar to what Robin's was. How are we, or are we in any way coordinating this with the township, with the DPW?
We are. Ted, did you talk to Carl Haug? I think you sent email, right?
Who did?
Ted.
I don't remember doing so. I think what is the question? Does DPW have like location of all drains in the town?
Yes, or
Well,
engineering department.
There's two questions, Ted. One is that, and the other is if we are going to put in writing in an article in the Franklin Times that we are starting this program, is it appropriate to do that without first discussing this with the people that we report to as advisors to the council?
And similar to that, Arnie, I think before we request
So we're
Carl
not writing anything.
Paul, Stan, we can use the plastics ban to have an article now and get the adopt a drain in the fall. But I think it's very important to go to Westfield or Minneapolis and ask them, what do you need from a town to populate this website? Because Carl Hauk is going to say, what am I supposed to do? And until we know the answer to his question, we shouldn't ask anything of him.
I'm up for a road trip to Minneapolis. Who wants to go?
Does that come under clean community funds?
I contacted Christine Samington from Sustainable Princeton, and she was referring to engineering department.
But we don't know what the software requires. That's my point. And Westfield probably knows what the software requires, or maybe Princeton knows what the software requires, because that's what Carl Hauk or engineering is going to ask of us. What are we supposed to be downloading? And there's probably some standard descriptor of this data that we're looking for. And I think we should find out what that is, because Carl will just push it off. If it's not clear and concise about what he's supposed to do, he won't do anything.
And I think this is a great program for us to do.
Me
but
too.
I think we just have to do it the right way. I mean, even if we don't put an article in the Franklin Times, well, I'm not going to go there. Not right now anyway. I mean, we haven't had this program for many years. So if it waits another couple of months to get it done, for us to jump through the right hoops, to advise with the right people, to get everybody on board, including the town council, including Carl Hauk, I think that's the way to go about it.
Understood.
Perhaps Tara's the right one to go to Westfield and say, what did you have to do?
Right,
to
that's what I was
populate?
just gonna say. I don't want to interject too much because I know I'm new and I'm like, just starting off. So, but that's definitely something I can do for you guys. That's why I'm here. The other issue is I wrote down a note here. Yes, I agree. I think before we put an article in the Franklin Times, it's better that we have everything. We know what everyone is doing and how it goes, because I think we're gonna start getting an influx of emails and questions that we're not gonna have all the answers to, so it might just be confusing. So yeah, I think we get everything, foundationally in place first, and then the next quarter for Franklin Times, we can put a nice article in for.
And
Tara,
if council people start getting questions about this and they haven't been informed about it ahead
Right.
of time, they're not going to be too thrilled with that.
Right.
Tara, I think if you go to the Adopt a Drain website and you put in that your municipality's Westfield, you'll see it populate.
Okay.
And then I invented an address because there's usually a main street or a broad street in every town. And it'll show you where the drains are close to that address. So that's the data that gets uploaded to this website.
Got it. Okay.
Without it, we're a little handicapped, and it could follow later, but I think we need to at least know we've got the pieces moving.
Right. So basically, we're trying to find out the location of all the storm drains, right, in Franklin.
But there may be some particular name for that. There may be something the state requires each town, and it's a particular database.
Okay. All right. I'll try and figure it out. Yeah.
If we get the right terminology and we go to Carl with that, he'll say, oh yeah, I know what that is.
Right.
If we say the location of every storm drain in town, he may look at us like, we have three heads.
Right. I get you. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely try and find out what that is. So that's easy enough.
I can also forward you my communication with Christine Symington in this regard. Because I was not lucky to contact Westfield. They just, actually what happened, the email address at the Adopt a Drain has changed. When I sent email, you received no response. And when I went to the website again, the email address has changed. The first email address was like a Westfield something. And then they switched it back. I don't remember what was it. And I failed to follow up with the second email address because I got burned out from doing many things.
Got it.
Yeah, but I would appreciate that if you can take it over.
Yeah, I can look into it and see exactly what it is that we need. And then I can work with Carl directly to figure out, it's probably data we already have. It's just a matter of getting the right data so that we can move that forward.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, very good. And Stan, thanks for, this was months ago. We hadn't heard of the program and you brought it to our attention and looked like it's going to be a winner once we get it going. Thank you. All right. Can we go on? Let's see. Maybe, as you know, Bob Warnlocker in the new budget came up with this, what we call the sustainability coordinator contract. And I don't know exactly, maybe Tara can sort of share with us how it is proposed to work or how Bob envisioned it to work, and we can sort of take it from there. But I believe
Sure.
we need to do that.
So yes, I'm going to work with you all as the sustainability coordinator, which I'm really excited about. I think most of you probably know I've been here a few times, but I staff the committees for Open Space Advisory Committee, Trails Advisory, and Ag Advisory. I also do green team work. I've written grants for Sustainable Jersey that Franklin has received. So I've been trying to implement sustainability measures into all of my work. I'm a licensed planner, and implementing sustainability into my regular practice has always been kind of just, that's like the mantra that I go by. Instead of making it this novel thing, it's like something that should be part of my everyday work. So that's how I've been approaching it, and it's been great with, handling the stewardship of our open spaces and getting some grant funding for some projects. What I can help you all with, I guess I can tell you what I can help you all with, and then you can tell me where I best fit in. But like I said, I'm a licensed planner, so I can help you with the plan review. If you need me to, look over them first and give you recommendations, if you would all rather look over them first and then tell me how to write up the recommendations, and, give you some information about what the law is, I can absolutely do that. Any grant writing or any coordination with the Franklin Township Green Team, any collaboration with the Open Space Advisory Committee or Trails Advisory I can do. For example, one thing Open Space Advisory Committee has been working on is this green infrastructure grant, which really is more of an environmental commission thing, but we can work on that, together at the same time. We're working on redoing some of our rain gardens, putting some pollinator habitat in there. So those are all things we can work on. Like this adopt a drain program, that's a perfect thing for me to kind of be the person between you all and the township staff. So anything you need from township staff, if you feel comfortable and you want to direct it to me and have me be the person that kind of gets those answers for you and reports back, I can do that. Every committee I kind of do different things for based on what they like to do and what they want me to do. But I really am, open to do really whatever you need. But my main goal is to kind of make your work a little easier so you can kind of focus on the higher level, big picture, and then I can kind of do the legwork in between there. So, I think that basically covers it. But, all these things that you talked about, I took a bunch of notes about, send Carl this email, research the communities grant. Like, for example, I know we have a vendor in our administrative and printing contract that we use for hunting buttons. And I just looked right now, and we do have a person that prints the bags on our accepted vendors contract. So that's like something I can kind of, help you with. And I love doing sustainability. I have a degree in environmental planning, studying right now for my lead exam. So I've always been really focused on environmental stewardship and planning. So I'm happy to help however you can fit me in.
So I have a question for you, Tara. What's happening with the stormwater management ordinance?
So as far as I know, it's being worked on. So let me back up. I know DPW had a lot to do with the stormwater management ordinance originally. As you all know, the rules have changed. So I'm hoping to work with planning and zoning and DPW to make some edits to that. I believe they're working on it. That's the last I heard. But the good news is now that I'm working with you all, I can, reach out to Mark and Carl and try and, help work that out.
I thought the new ordinance was already passed in spring, no?
But it doesn't go into effect for so many days, and I don't know that they voted on it yet. Carl sent us what he said was final, and our Mark did.
Oh,
I
I
didn't know
thought
where
because the
it was.
deadline is past due. It was sometimes in February or March.
It was March 3rd. It was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Ted, do you
Okay.
know?
I think we passed it. Certainly it got up to the council because it was so detailed. I don't think anybody on the council but me had read it. But I think basically what should happen is that the township engineer, in reviewing all site plans that come to the planning and zoning boards, will see that they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I meant, I understood the county had to approve it. Has that happened? I mean, is it really in effect now in Franklin?
Okay, I don't know whether we've had county approval.
Okay, I can find that out. Yeah, it has to be filed with the county. So it's not in effect, an ordinance is not effective unless it's been filed by the county. So I can find that out. That's easy enough.
We put a lot of work into that. It'd be nice to know
Yeah, I can find that out. To see, that's like an example of something I can do. Like I said, I meet with Carl monthly as it is, so I will be adding in when I meet with you all during the meeting. I will take these questions and notes and also discuss them with him every month. And then, of course, if you need something sooner than that, I can obviously talk to him before that as well.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. There was one question. Oh, so the other thing is for the Clean Communities grant, I'll look at the vendor we have, but I'm from Manville and we used our Clean Communities grant to do some tote bags like this. So I can also reach out to our DPW person who's also the coordinator and see if they have any vendor or anybody close by. They came out really nice. So I can look at that too.
Tara, in the report you'll get from Maria, it will have the information we got from Somerset County's Clean Communities Coordinator,
Okay.
Melissa Harvey, and
Yep.
what vendors they use. And as I understand it, both her vendor and whatever's on the DEP's website, they already have the artwork.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so
Really
that's good.
nice. So it's kind of a leg up.
It
But
makes sense, yeah.
the questions we're trying to find out are, could we buy cotton bags? How much more
Got it.
expensive are cotton bags than getting these poly things? And
Okay.
but we know, who
Alright.
knows? Carl may already have them in a closet somewhere, so.
I'll find
I'll
out. I mean, that's one recommendation I would make. And again, of course, you all are free to email and call whoever you want, but now moving forward, I would say if you're comfortable with it, I would email anything you have to me and I will, filter it to the right people and follow up on it and report back on it.
No. Bob Warnlocker in his email to me said that he had been advised by Ed Potosnak to get cotton bags. So I think that, I would say, talk to Bob and find out how far down the road he is, because he seemed to be pursuing the matter
Okay.
already.
Okay, I will follow up with him on that then too. The other thing, maybe over time, it's gonna take some time, but it might be good, like Paul, for example, if I can meet with you to talk about your process for getting the plans for review, maybe I can, meet with you at some point. Anyone
Sure.
else, probably Maria, I'm assuming, with the Clean Communities. But, it's gonna take me just a little bit to see where we're at, and then, I'll be able to like really spring into action.
And Tara, I'll send you the checklist we developed for plan reviews.
Oh, great. Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So it works out too, because with Franklin's green team, we get, points for doing certain actions. So having the review checklist meet certain requirements with Sustainable Jersey, that's something I can cross-reference and make sure we're hitting all those points. So we're not, being duplicative.
But that's not a checklist that we have. Have we approved that?
We want to test drive it for our use.
Right.
It's not something the planning department uses or
Right.
engineering uses. It's for it, but I think Tara should see it.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make that
I
clear
agree.
to Tara that wasn't an approved document by us
Right.
yet, so as far as what she's going to do with it.
Yeah, no, the only thing I would do at this point is just see what the requirements of Sustainable Jersey are, so that if it's something that we're going to use moving forward, it kind of hits both of those points,
Great. And it is built off of Anjec's list. We just added to it.
Okay, great. So yeah, you feel free to email me, everyone, all the time. Also, if you can, Walter said he's going to put me on the list. I'll respond to it with my cell phone number. That's the best way to get in contact with me, is to call my cell phone or email me. And I'll also give you my other, like my business email. But I always have everything, with me. I am going on vacation on Wednesday, so I'll be, periodically checking emails. But I always check on the weekends and everything. So feel free to just, don't feel shy to call or email or anything like that.
Your contract calls for, is it 10 hours per, I don't remember exactly.
10 hours a month. But there are some months where I might I'm not restricted to just 10 hours a month. That's the average.
Okay.
So it's like 100,
Gotcha.
over a year, it's 120 hours. So we might have more months where you need me more versus less, but I'll be attending the meetings. And then, doing any follow-up work.
Okay, very good. All right. If we move on here, we talked about the Franklin Times articles. I mean, that was sort of determined offline, and what Stan had prepared, we've dealt with that. We know. So I think we can move beyond that. Shade Tree Environmental Joint Committee update. I believe Arnold, you were heading that, were you not?
What was I heading?
The joint Shade Tree Environmental Joint Subcommittee.
I was not heading it. I was the one that made the suggestion for it, and I
Okay.
said that I would be a liaison to it.
Oh,
I think Robin was more heading it up. So
Robin agreed to serve with you, and Robin did a lot of research on
right.
other shade tree ordinances in the state of New Jersey and put together a compilation of recommendations that Franklin might want to include based on some best practices from other towns. And we turned that over to the Shade Tree Commission representatives on this joint committee. Because both committees were equally concerned, particularly by these two temples on South Middlebush and what's happening to the tree count, as well as my concern on a plan we looked at 6 months ago where some tree consultant went in and determined that these hundreds of trees were in poor health and therefore didn't need to be replaced. And that created a red flag to me. So we passed some of these recommendations on. So hopefully the Shade Tree Commission members feel that maybe it's time to update the ordinance and they have some things to work with. And that was our contribution. And if my hours of research were helpful, I hope so. But we did not plan a follow-up meeting.
okay. All right.
With Arnie, anything more?
I do not have anything more.
Okay. If we move along, the Green Infrastructure Strategic Plan, Tara, I believe that you indicated that you had just received this from Rutgers and you wanted to give us a sort of an overview and maybe a detailed report later, or however you want to do it.
Right. So I did receive the final document from Rutgers Water Resources Program with that grant that Franklin received. So the updated impervious cover assessment is done. The remediation action plan is done. That's what I talked about the last time I was here. Now the green infrastructure strategic plan is done. And what it does is basically really get into the depth of the 17 projects. And what they're asking for is us to come up with a few recommendations of what we would like to do as our demonstration project. So I wanted to kind of share with you the information. Maybe you all could give me 3 or 4 that you like. I'm also going to ask the Open Space Advisory Committee about it tomorrow. And then what Rutgers will do is come out, we have a little bit of money left in the grant where they can do some design specs for us for that demonstration project. And then the township can figure out where and how to implement it. So I thought if I can share my screen, I put together a spreadsheet that I thought might be helpful. And then maybe we can, pick based on whatever criteria you think works. And like I said, I'll also collaborate with Open Space.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And
Stan, are you there? I wonder if you walk away for a minute.
Yeah, where's Stan?
While we're waiting, I can, talk about it a little bit. I think he might have just stepped away for 1 second because he's muted too. But
okay.
Basically, so Rutgers came up with the 17 projects, which I've gone over with you in the past. But in this infrastructure plan, they've come up with some more detailed cost estimates, exactly a better estimate, I shouldn't say exactly, but a much closer estimate about how much runoff volume can be conserved, how much total suspended solid load can be removed. So they have that information. I'll also send you all, the link to the report is on their website. So I'll send it to you all so you can look through it, and they have pictures and maps and everything like that in there. But what I did was take all the information from that report and put it in one spreadsheet so that when we look at it, I hope it makes it easier for you to kind of say, oh, I think we should maybe choose, you know, these few projects to start with a demonstration. When looking at it, I think from looking at all the different criteria that there's a project recommended for Franklin's Department of Public Works that I think would be a really good one in terms of when you look at the cost and how much impervious coverage there already is versus the runoff that can be saved. There's another great project recommended for the Franklin Park Volunteer Fire Company. There are some projects in here that would be absolutely amazing to do, but they're very, very costly. So that's something to maybe think about down the road. And there's also a few school projects. So my thought was maybe if we pick one of the government buildings, one of the schools, and maybe one of the volunteer service properties, I think that'd be a good place to start. If everyone thinks that, you know, that works.
That sounds very interesting. Well, let's go to the next item here, and maybe hopefully
Yeah, sure.
we can share the spreadsheet. The Franklin warehouses, island stop the slip or update. I understand that has received some acceptance, but Arnold, do you know where we are with that?
Can you repeat that again, Walter, please?
The idling motor vehicle stop the slip program. I know.
Again, Ted would know more about that than me. Ted told us that it went to some committee.
Okay.
And
Administration Committee, and I've heard no more about it.
Okay. All right. We'll bring that up again next time.
So that's my report.
Okay, thank you. And again, this is the item of the, you know, the high school students from Rutgers Prep cleaning up the towpath. That's Stan also, and he hasn't come back yet. And so let's go on down to old business. I think most of the things there we keep there to make sure that we don't lose them. They don't, you know, go by the wayside. Sustainable Jersey. Ted, anything new there? I know last time it was pretty dormant, but
No, we haven't done anything lately on it. And I guess I'm beginning to hope that Tara will be taking this over. Yeah, it's time, since we have to be recertified next year, it's time to look into this, how the requirements have changed since the last time, and how much of what we got credit for in the last certification we can still get credit for. For instance, we have a farmer's market. So, and also what new things we might get credit for.
okay, very good, excellent. We do know we have a date now for Franklin Day. I did write it down. I think it is Saturday, the 18th of September. Does anyone have that? And it's going to be at the municipal complex. You know, significantly scaled down from where we were before. But that's definitely on. And that's an in-person event. So I don't know what that means in terms of mask wearing and things like that, but we traditionally have had Paul go back to his former company, I believe, of a contract to get giveaway LED bulbs. And last year we asked the Franklin Township, the Franklin Women's Club
Yeah.
to be the recipient, and they agreed, and we received I guess a pallet or a pallet and a half of them, and they were given away, and it's quite a popular item.
Yeah, I can comment further on that. Unfortunately,
Oh,
Phillips now called Signify, is moving out of 200 Franklin Square Drive and moving to Bridgewater.
oh,
So there will not be a presence here in town. That building was, they built the building in 1986 and have been there ever since. But they've been spun off as a separate entity, Phillips, and they've cut back a lot on the North American marketing lamp, and they're moving. So they're not going to be a presence here. I am trying to get, they're cleaning out the building, and they may have bulbs that they're willing to give away rather than move them somewhere. And I did send an email to a contact there at this point, but they're packing up now. So we'll see what happens.
okay.
I'm not hopeful, but I thought we'd try it and see what happens.
Okay, but the bottom line is we want to be prepared for Franklin Day, although it may not be at the scale as before. If we don't have the giveaways, we certainly want to be there to greet and answer questions of guests and visitors. And we have brochures and information that we normally would share and people would take away.
Well,
So
and if
we
all
have to
goes
begin to
well, we'll
think
have reusable bags to distribute.
Yeah, that would be our main item.
Yep.
So we although we may not have known for sure, but I think we're on our way, and so
I have the banner.
all right. And at the next meeting, well, that's August. That's very close.
Yep.
But in the meantime, we can work offline, if you call it, and make sure that certain things are in place. And one thing that we want to do is update our brochures and information that we had before. And I think we can do that between now and the next meeting and have that available, and we'll be ready for Franklin Day.
Okay.
Okay, Stan hasn't come back yet?
Nope.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I think that, the other items there, let me just share with you that we talked earlier about back to in-person meetings, and Jessica did share with me, and I mean, that she had not been vaccinated yet, and that, going forward, she would, until she does, we didn't go into details about what she plans to do. She would join us virtually. So
She is vaccinated now.
She is. Oh my goodness.
At least her first vaccine. It may be the second one too. I went for a walk with her on Saturday and she shared that with me.
Oh, fantastic.
Medical reasons she had to delay, and then the
All
doctor,
right.
no more point in waiting. Go ahead and get it done. So
Fantastic. Oh, that's good news.
yeah.
So, the idea of the hybrid meeting and those type things, maybe that's not a question anymore. And so good. All right. If Stan doesn't show up in a couple of minutes, then we're going to have to move on and just look over those items. I do know that the program with the Rutgers high school students did go forward. The Towpath Commission, or whatever you want to call it, the State Park Commission, Bob Bonlocker did contact them, and they required that volunteers like the Rutgers student fill out a sort of a liability form. And I think they were working on that, and I believe they had a plan for the first.
Guys, I am on a different meeting.
It can,
I'm
I can wait since, if we're meeting again
Yeah,
August 2nd, I can wait.
Wait a second. I have
Okay.
to. Yes.
Okay, Stan, we had two items, the Rutgers prep cleanup of the towpath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this guy, he was supposed to confirm the date with me, and then he sent me a picture that he already did it. So there were two groups. One group went in one direction on Towpath, the other group on the other direction. They cleaned it up and they sent me one picture. I advised them to write article to Franklin Reporter and Advocate. Today they sent me some draft, which is a typical article written by a high schooler, so it needs lots of work. If you thought that I don't know how to write articles, so I'm still better than high school.
Nobody said that. All right, fantastic. Okay, so that's, unless there are some items that, you know, we didn't deliberately table or put off until the next meeting, are there any new items or questions or before we open the meeting again to the public? Okay, why don't we get a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Walter, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Just one point. Our next meeting is August 2nd.
Can you put the antenna down?
Okay.
Our next meeting is on August 2nd, I believe. I believe I'm going to be in Vermont that weekend, and I hope to get back, but there's a possibility I will not be here for that meeting. Just to let you
Okay.
know.
All right.
So that should
Now
shorten.
you cannot call in.
That should shorten the meeting by half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Who knows?
No. Okay. So can we get a motion to open the meeting to the public?
I make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
A second. Okay. It's been moved and second that we open the meeting to the public. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So
Okay, we have Lawrence Powell. I just unmuted. Do you want to say something for the second time?
Yeah, I want to ask a question. I see a lot of warehouses being built on Veronica, between Veronica and Clyde. What's going on over there? I see a lot of, it's like a trucking industry moved in there, and it's a lot of 18-wheelers coming through. What is going on? Who okayed that?
The town?
Me.
Who?
Not me.
No, the planning board and everybody went through the traditional, but we tried to influence green roofs and, you know, the stormwater controls and the idling of the trucks. We're on those items, and but the rush to build a warehouse is ongoing. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's not just one warehouse. It seemed like it's two. And it's a lot of traffic coming up and down JFK, and it's like an 18-wheeler every 10 minutes.
That's right.
They own the property and it's zoned for that, so they have the right to build on that property.
Lawrence, you make a very good point. It's in the master plan.
It's in the master plan?
Yeah, that part of town, those areas in town can be used that way. For those citizens, and I'm one of them, who have a real problem with all the warehousing, we need to make our voices heard to the council so that when the council updates the master plan, they try to reduce the amount of warehousing. Obviously, we can't do anything about those that already exist, but we can try to reduce the incentive to have more of it, as well as try to put enough regulations on those that are here that they make for better neighbors. I live on Skillman Lane, and I personally stop tractor trailers coming through here, through preserved farmland, at sometimes 50 miles an hour. There are tractor trailers going up and down Cortelyou Lane. If any of you have driven Cortelyou Lane and you know what that bridge is like, right on the S turn, tractor trailers are going both ways on Cortelyou Lane. And this kind of impact on our life, here in Franklin, is very, very real. And I think the council has really been seduced by the tax ratables without consideration for what it does to our quality of life. So there are some bills making their way through the state legislation that will have a bit of an impact on warehousing and trying to curb it somewhat. There's state concern that we're gobbling up some of New Jersey's best farmland for warehouses because farmers are entitled to sell and the towns are making it feasible. So any which way you think from an environmental justice point of view that we can help make arguments to minimize the impact of warehousing, please, by all means, share those with us. It's a very big concern. Just the pollution alone at the intersection of Veronica and Route 27.
Right.
Just idling trucks in line for traffic, whether they're crossing the highway or making a left or right turn. It's a very bad situation, in my opinion. So we need to hear from you and those that you represent, and any information you have, any data that's made available to you through environmental justice organizations on warehousing, please feel free to share it with us. We'd appreciate the input.
I mean, I see a warehouse going up. There's going to be too many trucks here. You know, I'm not coming up JFK. You know what I mean? It's just too many trucks already. It's not, and the other warehouses haven't even been built yet.
Absolutely.
The LG warehouse off Veronica is 935,000 square feet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we got our work ahead of us. And all right, so any other person in the public stand?
No.
Okay. So get a motion if the gentleman has finished. I didn't mean to cut him off.
Yeah, I'm finished for now.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Lawrence. Thank you for coming.
Motion to exit the public session.
Second. And I need a second.
Second, yeah.
Has been moved and second that we close the public and come back to the normal meeting. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All who oppose? Okay, we're back in regular meeting session. One question real quickly, Stan, not Stan, I'm sorry. But the Environmental Stewardship Awards, Paul.
Yeah.
We're moving ahead on those, right?
Well, nobody's come up with an individual. We only have the one nomination for the organization would be the center school. The one that that one serves the autistic spectrum and is a receiving school for the surrounding towns. And it is a 501c3, and they did their solar cell installation has been approved. So
Okay.
they're doing the roof and the parking area and canopy.
All right. But Paul, remember, we were trying to keep it a secret.
Right.
We thought that Diane Podesky would be the individual.
I thought we were
Oh, okay.
tabling this.
That's good.
I thought we were tabling this for
Later time?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, yeah, toward the
And
fall,
trying,
I
and
think.
trying to keep both names out. This could have been executive session, but keep both names out of the public.
Out of the record, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Franklin Advocate wasn't here today, so the likelihood of it leaking out.
Right. Okay.
But Paul, remember Diane normally had done that and you agreed.
I was going
you-
to contact her about the plaques, right? Okay.
Yeah, and you would, I mean, the process and whatever, you would be ready to take over when
Yeah.
time comes.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, is there anything else? We can entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Okay, get a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we adjourn this meeting. Thank you for attending. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and all opposed? Okay, and nobody opposed. Thank you. The meeting is closed. And on the student from Rutgers, real quickly, who was, I guess, to be involved, where is she in terms of tonight and going forward? I understand she's on vacation now, right?
You're talking about Amy Spears?
Yes, yes.
She's who's doing the certificate program on climate.
Yeah.
Amy's, I think, Maria, do you want to answer that?
Who's that?
We
Amy's
received an email
Yeah, go ahead.
that she's having a personal
Family situation.
yeah, she's
Okay.
taking care of her family now.
Okay, very good. All right, but I do want to put her on the mailing list and, you know, where it's appropriate and to make sure that we don't forget her. Okay, that's it. I don't have anything else.
Okay, good night.